Second place looks pretty crowded right now in the AL Central. Guardians, Twins, Royals. Oh my! No Byron Buxton yet, but Carlos Correa is coming back from a concussion. Can he be the difference this weekend when KC invades Target Field? Second place is on the line, but so is third. It's too many teams. There's no time to waste. You got to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day, and don't forget it. And also don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who finished second place in the District 59 Spelling Bee in sixth grade. That was when I peaked. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who knows a big series when he spells one. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find more of our work at Access Twins and Zone Coverage. On the podcast this time, KC invades Target Field this weekend to see who can stick close to first place Cleveland and who's just trying to stay out of fourth place. The Twins' entire self-worth is on the line here. Carlos Correa is back from a concussion, and that'll help. No Byron Buxton yet. The Royals won't have two of their best starting pitchers available, but will it matter? All the Royals got is starting pitching. And Matt Wallner is hitting bombs in AAA in his rehab already. Will he be back perhaps next week? But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel and start FanDueling right now. Brandon, the Royals are about to duel with the Twins at Target Field. They begin the series in a virtual three-way tie for second place. I think the Royals have played fewer games than the Guardians and the Twins. Are
more, actually.
They played more?
Two more.
That's too many.
Yeah.
So the Royals had the day off Thursday to presumably enjoy the Twin Cities or spy on the Twins or take in the Mall of America. I don't know. On Wednesday in a bullpen game against the Giants, they beat up on Logan Webb. So the Twins kind of did that too the last time they saw him. 10 hits, 6 runs, 3 earned, 8-4 victory for the Royals. It was kind of a rare appearance of their offense. They've been like 90% starting pitching, 9% relief pitching, and 1% offense this year. The Royals are not all that good with the bats, although there are some things that you need to worry about. Salvador Perez had a good game. Hadn't been having too many of those. And there's Bobby Witt. Michael Garcia keeps hitting. I guess you got to be worried about Pasquantino, even though we're still waiting for him to get hot. One of their best hitters might be Jack Caglione, who's in the minors. I think they do need to probably add a couple more offensive players to stay in the race because they just don't, or to be the best version of themselves. I don't see the Royals though as being all that scary right now. Do you agree?
Well, first I want to say I was also a second place spelling bee finisher, but in 8th grade. And the third place finisher just happened to be my little brother, Cody. So that was kind of a fun night for my parents. I finished second as an 8th grader. He was third as a 6th grader. And first place was another girl in my class. So it was an interesting little evening. But
congratulations to you spellers.
Yes, back in 1999, I think it would have been. So a little while ago.
It's party like it's then.
Exactly. As far as the Royals, we don't have our friend Mr. Lesky on. I wanted to ask him how the heck Kevin Biggio is still on this team. And basically it's because the offense has not been particularly good. Hunter Renfroe has been one of the worst players in MLB this season. And Biggio has not been much better, but they're getting carried by Michael Garcia has been pretty good. They've gotten Bobby Witt Jr. doing Bobby Witt Jr. things for the most part. But yeah, the rotation right now on Roster Resource has 4 starters listed, minus Cole Ragans, minus Seth Lugo. Twins will see Michael Wacha, who is probably their most accomplished starter left standing. I don't know if there's a probably about that, but it's going to be Noah Cameron and then Waka, and then Chris Bubich, which I can't say without laughing most of the time. So it should be at least a good matchup for the Royals as far as what they have to offer from their starters. I don't know what direction they go pitching-wise when they needed a fifth starter. I mean, they've got somebody, I'm sure, in mind. But this is a rotation that since the beginning of last season has only used 11 starting pitchers. The Twins have also used 11, and only one team has used fewer. I think it's Seattle, which would stand to reason based on how good their starting pitching is. I think they've used 9. So it is possibly going to be uncharted territory for these Royals having to go into their bag of tricks. You know, I like their bullpen well enough, and the rotation is obviously solid, but similar to the Twins, they have an offense that does not give the pitching staff that much margin for error, and the Twins have guys coming back. I personally think that the Twins are in better shape, but your mileage may vary. Granted, your mileage toward Kansas City is a lot closer than mine, Dave Brown. I think this is going to be a good litmus test for the Twins to see where they're at as far as divisional foes and if they can, hold serve. I think the Guardians series, if you could call it that, the Guardians afternoon was a pretty decent stepping stone / they were in. They did well enough to stack up to the Guardians. Now I want to see how they handle the Royals, and then the Tigers too will be an interesting one too. But right now I feel like the Twins are in a good spot. The Royals are right where they are too. Like, this is going to be a dogfight down the stretch.
It was, and I hadn't thought about considering talking about the Guardians a little bit since they have already left town, but they kind of did their thing again yesterday. They made the Tigers, who can't, do anything wrong, and they finally play, and then it's a very Guardians type game. So,
in the rain again too. We were talking. I had some broadcast duties with the Guardians that first night when they got suspended, and so I got to know the broadcast people just a little bit. And so I was actually joking with them. They're like, "What the heck? Now we're in Detroit and we're in this weather." And I said, "Yeah, well, you don't want to know it, but it's 70 degrees and pristine in Minneapolis right now." They were not loving hearing that.
No, Tanner Bybee went out and
he was nasty.
Beat them squarely. They did put a rally together, but then Cade Smith, who's been a little human lately, came in and struck out the side with the bases loaded, and then the Guardians added on later to kind of end up blowing out the
Jack Flaherty's
Tigers.
velo was down too, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah, sometimes that happens with him.
Yeah.
So I look around this division and I see some interesting teams, but I don't see anybody that is going to put any distance between themselves and the Twins. I just don't. I think that the Tigers were probably playing above their heads a little bit there for a while, and I still don't think they have the best lineup in the world. And like you say, you've got issues like Jack Flaherty with reduced velocity and just some other things that I still think. I don't know if I would call the Twins the team to beat, but they could win this division still. Or if it's not going to happen in the regular season, I could see them having a better postseason than any other team that makes the playoffs out of the.
You have a chance anytime you have the best pitcher in the league, and for my money, it's Tariq Skubal. I think a lot of people would agree, especially the AL. If you want to go full MLB, I don't know who else you'd make a case for, but anytime you've got that and an offense that seems to pick up the timely hit every single time they need it, that's a pretty good recipe.
Yeah, those things even out though. Those timely hits, they don't.
Not always in the same season, Cleveland. Still bitter.
For sure.
Still bitter about last year.
Why don't we we'll take our first break and then we'll talk more about the Twins and the Royals and forget about Cleveland for a while.
Well, speaking of something I want to forget about, it's the Timberwolves in their Western Conference Finals series because they're down 0-2. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. They're actually getting closer to coming to a close, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Hopefully, a major momentum shift when the Western Conference Finals come to Minneapolis here in the next day or two. But whether it's a game-winning shot, a breakout player, or whatever you are looking for in the postseason, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel wants to be that thing for you. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live because they've got player props, performance trends, and SGPs, not SGAs. That's the same game parlays, which allow fans to have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Who do you think is going to be the next big thing on either the East or West Coast side? Those are options you have in addition to finding live prop bets based on game flow and that sort of thing. Those same game parlays too, you can piece together a bet that is really up your alley based on things that are happening during the game, props that come up. It's a very customizable betting experience that I cannot recommend highly enough. And if you're brand new to FanDuel, you will get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. That's right. If you are new to FanDuel, sign up right now. Head on over to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet, and if it hits, it's $200 in bonus bets. It's free real estate. So again, new customers at FanDuel can make every moment more with FanDuel, which is the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Locked On Twins has returned for another big series at Target Field, previewing the Royals coming in against the Twins, and the teams are in a virtual essential deadlock for second place, also with the Guardians behind the Tigers. So they're almost in second place. They're almost in fourth place. A lot is on the line, but it's a situation that can change at any second. So the first game, you said before, Brandon, that you wanted to have David Lesky on from Inside the Crown to ask about why is Cavan Biggio still in the lineup for the Royals. You sort of answered the question because there's no one else right now.
They're not going to call up Jack Caglione.
But he's only got 1 or 2 games in AAA, so pretty soon. I would ask him instead of that question, what is the deal with Noah Cameron? Noah Cameron, as recently as 2 years ago, was a guy that was, I think, giving up 6 ERAs in the minor leagues, but something happened. He's kind of a soft tossing lefty, throws about 91 miles an hour. Not great command. He'll walk. I think that's a key tonight.
Hometown boy too.
That's true.
He's from about 60 miles away from Kansas City, which
St. Joseph, where
the
Chiefs, where the Chiefs practice. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, leave it to me. I'll tell you about Noah Cameron. No,
but he's going to give them a different look than Chris Bubich, though, right? Like it's both lefties, but it's not going to be, standard issue left-handed starter.
Well, so he's the kind of guy that if you don't have like much of a video book or a in-person book, might just give you a lot of trouble. It might be really frustrating. And it's happened so far to his first 2 opponents. But he does only have 6 strikeouts in his first 11 innings.
Walks,
so I think the key is going to be to wait him out a little bit. And I don't know if the Twins are feeling patient or what, but it will be a little bit of a different tack than Chris Bubich. Bubich is, he's going in the finale. He's one of the better pitchers in the league. I mean, we mentioned that Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans are not available right now because of relatively minor injuries, but Bubich has been pitching better than them, better than most people. So that's something for the finale. Mm-hmm. Cameron is going to be in this one. Waka is another guy who has just, transformed himself over the years and appeared to be maybe on the way out of the league 5 years ago with lots of injuries and reduced ineffectiveness, but he's on a great roll right now. So the Royals have lots of starting pitching, but this is an opportunity with Lopez going in the first game and Cameron in the second game. Cameron for the Royals. This is a game that the Twins probably should win. So he's got a 4-seamer, a slider, a changeup, a cutter, and a curve. So 2 different kinds of fastballs, 2 different kinds of breaking balls, and a changeup. So it sounds like trouble to me, especially if the Twins have never faced him before.
Pretty good numbers at Omaha too, which again, I mean, he's 25, 26. So we saw Simeon Woods Richardson have a really great start at St. Paul yesterday. I was kind of keeping track of it through Theo Tollefson. By the way, if you're not following him, he's on our postcast too, and tremendous coverage of the Saints. But yeah, I'll be curious to see. The Twins started off. There was kind of some funny little things going on with their offense. They didn't hit fastballs early, and they didn't hit lefties early. And it's not to say that they've like completely reinvented the wheel in those regards, but they're a lot closer to what you would have expected for them against left-handed pitching. I mean, their offense has more righties, I think, than it may have been expected to at different points. Certainly Matt Wallner being down affects that a little bit if they play McCusker out there or Willie Castro with someone else on the infield. So yeah, we'll see just how they handle this soft tossing lefty and Bubic too. But they've flipped the script in terms of handling fastballs and handling lefties. So hopefully they're getting this virtually unknown lefty at the right time for where their offense is on their evolution.
I have a couple stats to support what you're saying, Brandon.
Nice.
I'm glad when we work together, kind of by accident. But so first, the Twins are 12th in the league with weighted runs created, adjusted plus at 105. So it's 5% above league average.
That's overall, not lefties, not.
No, this is. I think I have it as lefties.
Okay.
Yes, this is versus lefties. So they're 5% better than, and overall though, they're 15th against lefties with an 86 WRC plus. So they've been, since May started, they've been hitting lefties better, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Still almost no power against them. Very low isolated power, not a lot of home runs. You'd think with some of the guys in the lineup that they'd be able to get some over the fence, but Buxton's not in there tonight. Miranda's still in AAA.
Check out my McClusker, baby.
Yeah, McClusker will probably be in the lineup tonight. So
McClusker,
maybe we'll see that first home run.
McClusker, barely know her. Sorry.
Yeah, it should be. So maybe we'll see Carson McClucker's first home run tonight. I think that would be a good one. I don't know if FanDuel has any props on that, but I would say
probably something. They go pretty in depth. I'll tell you what.
I would bet on that. But we've also got Carlos Correa coming back, and he doesn't have until now concussion history, which is why he's back before Buxton. Mm-hmm. Buxton had a couple concussions in his past. That's why they're being a little more deliberate with him, just because symptoms can reoccur if you're not careful. So I don't know if that means that he's going to be back at all in this series, or it's not going to be until next week. But I would say, given the severity of that hit and how it looked at the time, those guys bumping noggins, that the Twins would take this. I think it's okay to have brief DL stints for these guys, and hopefully no lingering symptoms from.
Yeah, it's a minimum stay for Correa, if I'm not mistaken, and he was the one that left the game and had to be stabilized by that belt loop thing with Paparesta I've talked about a couple times. So I almost made a joke on Twitter, like, oh, they're not both ready to come back at the same time. I'd be like, well, you know what happened when they were in the same place at the last time this happened. So maybe it's okay that they're not. Yeah, no. Yeah, hopefully Buck makes it back sometime this series. And I think too, it just goes to show the unpredictability where if they hadn't sent out Fitzgerald on the off day, and Greg's bit about the Pohlads saving money by sending guys out on off days is hysterical. I think we'd be still skeptical of if Correa was coming back today until we saw the lineup or the roster move. So I think it's possible. I won't say probable. I won't even say anything like that, but just maybe Saturday Buxton comes back, Sunday. It'll just be kind of, all right, ready to go. Let's do this thing. We don't have to have a long buildup of he's almost ready. He's close to ready. He's nearly ready. That's going to be way more the case for someone like Matt Wallner, who, not to steal your thunder, but showed some thunder amidst the thunder with the Saints and looks pretty good for the amount of time he took off. But we're not going to need a big runway to say, hey, Buxton's ready. Whereas, Wallner's hit 2 home runs in his first game, and we're going to be talking about it for a while. Like, is he close? Is he close? Is he almost ready? And then he'll be back too. I think Buxton could just be any day now.
Isn't that weird how, and I guess we're talking about Wallner now, but how he comes back in his first game, hits a couple home runs. He had a very similar injury to Royce Lewis in terms of time off and all that, and it took Lewis X amount of at bats to look a little bit comfortable in the lineup. And I don't even know. I mean, maybe that's just luck that he hit a couple home runs last night. The thing though about and I did make a joke with the St. Paul on Twitter account, said try and get him to hit a couple triples. That way he can make some left turns around the bases and some cuts.
Open
and then
up
we'll see really how the leg is. I think that's what they have to do to keep him,
shift up,
sprint,
shift
and
down.
Then the zig and the zag.
Shift up, shift down, and make some left turns, and you should be ready to hit the speedways again.
So, although there's actually, unless Wallner were ready to come back tomorrow with two left-handed pitchers going in the series, take your time, buddy.
Yeah, have them meet you in, what is it, St. Pete? I think they go to Tampa next.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So I mean,
it's a terrible hitting environment, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and the thing at play here too again is the lousy weather. Lewis's rehab got waylaid by bad weather in Columbus, and maybe here too. It had been rainy here for about 4 or 5 days, 3-4 days in a row, as we all know with the Cleveland series. But yeah, it just kind of goes to show again, like, well, maybe if the weather's going to be bad, you should send the guy to Fort Myers or somewhere else. But I don't know how serious I am about that. I think I'm mostly joking.
All right. Well, at this rate, we're going to take our final commercial break and then come back and wrap it up here as we preview the Royals and the Twins. Boom, boom. We're back. Did I pause enough?
Bam. Got me going on a little Kendrick Lamar here.
So we've got Kansas City coming in. We've talked a little bit about Noah Cameron. We're going to have the Twins are going to have Carlos Correa back in the lineup. They're not going to have Byron Buxton yet. A couple things with the Royals. They have the Twins defensively are somewhere in the middle on defensive runs saved. I think they're neutral. The Royals are +3. I think most of that is Bobby Witt and a couple other players, but they are vulnerable. Sometimes, like wherever you hit the ball at Jonathan India, he's not had a good time. They're good when Freddie Fermin is behind the plate instead of Sal. So they're good there, and they're good with Kyle Isbell. Don't call me Jason in center. That's a guy who can go get it. Left field is a little weird because sometimes it's India, sometimes it's Michael Massey. Drew Waters is a guy. He's better than a 4A player. He's a good player to have around. He can go get the ball too and hit a little bit. But I think there's a couple places where maybe second base, possibly third, possibly first base, maybe one or two places in the outfield. The Twins can put the ball in play against Cameron. They'll be able to maybe take advantage. This is overall a pretty good defensive team, but it's got some holes. Conversely, go ahead.
Well, maybe it says more about me, but it's going to be weird to not see MJ Melendez.
That was a guy who he could go get it in the outfield. He was a natural catcher. They tried to turn him into a left fielder, and the defensive part, it was inconsistent, but he could still make plays.
Yeah.
I
still like the swing. He's not hitting at Omaha, but I still like the swing. It might just be a me thing again, but I don't know.
The Royals their minor league people, Lesky included, but not just him, have been complaining. They have some guys at Omaha who have been putting up some decent numbers who they've never really brought up. Infielders and outfielders both. And these are not prospects in the level of Jack Caglione. But if you recall, like 10 years ago,
Johnny Giubatella,
better than that.
Is he still down there?
Merrifield.
Okay.
No, he's not. Whit Merrifield, who was out, according to Twins fans.
Yes, he was.
He was a guy that was putting up good numbers. He was not a prospect, but he was putting up good numbers in AAA and maybe even AA at some point when he reached his mid-20s. The Royals have a few guys like that. I think they're doing themselves a disservice by continuing to go with some of the people that they've been going with. I think there some possible answers at AAA. And I think, I don't know if the Twins are in a similar situation. I think most of those guys are up. I think we'd be looking at calling for Peyton Eels if he had a full camp, and he probably would have been up already had he not had an injury early in camp. So, but I think the Royals are a team that they don't go all the way to 26. I think it's a team that kind of needs to use everybody on the roster and the organization, and they're not really doing that. They have great starting pitching, pretty good relief pitching to an extent, and very inconsistent everything else. So Bobby Witt, and I think they should just assume, Salvador Perez has been banged up and he's old. I think the pitchers probably should still approach him. Easy there, Brandon. Like he's dangerous.
Right.
But other than that, I don't see a lot getting in the way of the Twins taking 2 games in the series. I don't.
It was kind of a fun list that I put together, but there are 6 players who have ever hit 200 hits, 35 doubles, and 35 homers against the Twins since they moved in 61. And Salvi's on that list. I think it was like Maglio, Carl Yastrzemski, Jim Tomei. Like, that was a fun list. Look for that on the broadcast tonight, because I did put something like that together. And I even made a note of it, though. Like, doesn't matter if he's going good or bad. If Twins pitchers see him in the on-deck circle, they're like, oh, great, here we go again. It's kind of like Jose Ramirez, too. Like, and maybe that has more to do with the guys around these guys, like the whole idea of if you keep ugly friends, you look better in comparison. Right. That, I think, kind of works in Salvi's favor if you ignore the existence of Bobby Witt Jr., which you could before the last couple of years. But yeah, I think you still have to respect Salvi, even because, if he's not getting a ton of hits, he can still jump the yard on you. And if he's got some runners on, that turns a 2-0 lead into a 3-2 deficit or something like that. And I think we've seen that happen a couple times to the Twins, especially the Bo Naylor hit, the big booming double off the right field fence at Target Field off Duran. Like, the Twins, as good as their pitching has been, there still have been some moments that they've allowed the other team back into the game. And so Salvador's kind of the guy where, yeah, you don't want their best guys to beat you, but the guys that historically hit you hard too, you have to be cautious of. It's one thing if Hunter Renfroe gets a big hit against you, or Kevin Biggio, or even Jonathan India is I think a nice player, a kind of player I'd like to have on my team as a leadoff batter, especially. But I would much rather have him beat me than any of the aforementioned big time guys. So yeah, I'll be curious to see how it all shakes out.
The thing about Sal that makes him tough is one of the things that makes Bobby Witt difficult. Maybe in a little bit of a different way as a hitter. He's good. He's able to hit pitches that are out of the strike zone and do damage against them. I mean, it's sort of like he's turned his kryptonite, his weakness as a hitter, into a strength.
It's a
so
Kirby
you can make good pitches. Yeah, you can make good pitches against him, and he's still going to beat you.
Sometimes it's the bad pitches. You're better off making good pitches than bad pitches, because I think they said Kirby was the best bad ball hitter of his era, and then Vladimir Guerrero came into the league and became that guy. And
right,
yeah, those guys have to be a total mind bender to pitch to. You throw out conventional wisdom. You throw out, I'm gonna get ahead 0-2 and then elevate this fastball, and suddenly that fastball is landing in the fountains because Salvi just had a wild hair and crushed it 450 feet. So I think it's like playing poker against someone who's never played poker before, and so they don't have any sort of tell whatsoever. And that to me would be so frustrating for sure.
Yeah, I guess the last word on Salvi. We didn't have Lesky on, but I will steal from his blog. And he's like, Salvi's he's got a hip problem, so he has been hurt at times. Mm-hmm. So his last game against the Giants was really good. The Logan Webb bombing. But it is just one game. I don't know if it's an indication that he's about to get on a heater, but it might be. I guess we're going to find out this weekend. But Lesky also did say that Salvi is really, really slow right now. Like, he's still, no matter how well he's hitting, he's still, I don't know if it's because he's 35 or whatever, mm-hmm. but or because he's got a bad hip, but he's not running real well. So I think there's still indicators that he's going to be a little bit diminished from where he was before. So I think
unrelated, have they just completely given up on Melendez as a catcher? I know Fermin is kind of the guy now, but I don't understand why they gave up on Melendez so quickly on that.
Well, he wasn't really good at catching compared to, maybe he could do some things that Salvi could do. Fermin is has been one of the better defensive catchers in the league. So you're gonna prefer to use him more often. If you look at their prospects in the minors, they have a couple in the low minors who are catchers who have more of a future there, possibly than Melendez. Right. And Melendez also has gotten himself into a knot offensively, so you can't.
You can't do either catch or hit. You can't really be a catcher,
right? So there you go.
And offensive-minded backup catchers are not really a thing, I don't think.
Not anymore. They used to be, but it's the market has changed. So, and speaking of the market, our market's about to change because we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Please find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying we will Alexei Kosia tomorrow night.